Okay, so this is the second part of chapter 9 where we will cover sources of long-term financing. Okay, so we already understand what is short-term financing. Now we go to long-term financing. So what is long-term financing is another way lah for company to raise fund, yeah, to expand or to grow. Yeah, there are three types of long-term financing, which is the first one is long-term debt. Yeah, when we say it's a debt, it's a hutang. Yeah, so it consists of bond. The second one is common stock, and the third one is preferred stock. So common stock and preferred stock ni dia under equity. Yeah, kalau kita tengok dalam balance sheet, sebelah uh, sebelah liabilities dan equities ni, ya, long term debt berada di sini, ya, dan juga preferred stock dan common stock berada di bawah stockholders equity. Okay, so kita pergi kepada what is bonds. Ya, bonds is simply a security loan. Ya, it's a debt. The borrower is the issuer of the bond. Siapa yang pinjam? Peminjam itu adalah entity yang create the bond. Kenapa dia create the bond? Because they require funds to to finance their project or they want to grow. Kenapa tak borrow dalam bank? Because usually they issue bonds because they require a huge amount of money that a bank cannot offer. Okay, so the lender are the investors, or we say as a bond holders. Okay, so if you want to know about bond, you can click this link below and read about what is bond. Or in Islamic finance, we call it a sukuk. So it is Sharia compliant. Okay. So once we know the definition of bonds, we need to know also the characteristics of bonds. So it's called a principal, which is the par value or face value of 1,000. Biasanya dipanggil dengan starting point of bond ni, dia dikenali dengan par value. Yeah? 1 is equal to 1,000. Okay. The second one is bond coupon rate, represent the percentage of the bond's par value that will be paid to bondholders annually as interest. So pulangan, okay, sebagai contoh kerajaan, dia issue bond, ya, untuk contoh dia nak bina highway baru, ya. Jadi dia perlukan katakanlah a billion of fund. So they create bond, government create bond, and for return dia bagi coupon rate, ya, certain percentage referring to the interest, berapa pulangan yang akan diperolehi oleh orang yang supply fund tersebut. Okay. And then the maturity date is the date in the future which the investor's principal will be repaid. Maturity date ni matured. Ya, bila bond tu dia matured. Contoh 10 tahun. Ya, ataupun 20 tahun. Ya. So this is the maturity date. There are three types of bond maturity, which is short term, it calls treasury bills, less than 1 year. And then medium term, it's called as notes, 1 to 10 years. Or long term, it's called bond, more than 10 years. So basically maturity date for bonds should be more than 10 years. Okay, then credit rating is standardized measure of a relative credit quality. So bond ni dia akan ada rating dia, A, B, BB dan sebagainya. Itu menunjukkan kepada keupayaan entiti tersebut untuk membayar balik interest kepada yang memberi modal. Okay, so what are the advantages and disadvantages of bonds. Okay, we see the advantages first. Bondholders will receive income through the interest payment. You see, what you need to do, what you need to know is that the differences of the return. Yeah, bonds they receive interest payment. Then hold the bond to maturity and get all your principal back. Kalau kita letakkan katakanlah 100,000 untuk bond, okay, kita dapat coupon rate. Coupon rate ni adalah interest dia berapa? 4% katakanlah per year. Right? So, bond ni maturity date adalah 10 years. 10 years. So, after 10 years ni, kita akan dapat balik 100,000 bersama-sama dengan interest every year. So, interest ni dia akan provide every year lah. Year 1, year 2 sampai year 10. And then, after 10 years, dapat balik nilai yang kita letakkan ni, nilai bond. You can profit if you resell the bond at a higher price. Contoh, awak letakkan 100,000 bond, ya, tetapi nak jual bond tu, okay? So jual kepada pihak yang lain dengan harga yang lebih tinggi, so you can get profit from there. Yeah? Okay, bonds juga ada disadvantages. What are the disadvantages? Bond pays out lower returns than stocks. Kalau masuk antara stock dengan bonds dia punya return lebih rendah daripada stocks. That's why bond is more safer but give lower return. Okay, companies can default on your bonds. Company-company yang issues bond ni boleh jadi dia kalau junk bond dia offer coupon rate yang tinggi. Kalau biasa treasury bond dia offer 4%. Kalau junk bond dia offer 12%. Ni dipanggil junk bond. Junk bond ni possibility untuk dia default. Default maksud dia apa? Default ni tak bayar interest tersebut, ada. Okay, bond yields can fall. This depending on the project lah, whether the project yang require the money from the bond to making profit or not. Okay, so this is basically types of traditional bonds yang usually available. It's called unsecured bond. Unsecured ni tak ada cagaran. Dan kemudian kita ada secured bonds. Okay, so basically yang ni just nak tahu jenis-jenis bond lah yang ada. So this is the types of contemporary bonds. Maksud contemporary bonds ni yang terkini, apa yang exist sekarang. Kita ada zero coupon bonds, junk bonds, floating rate, extendable, putable bond. Setiap satu tu dia offer dia berbeza-beza. Kemudian jenis long term financing yang kedua adalah common stocks. What are common stocks? Common stocks are securities that represents equity ownership. Maksudnya bila kita buy stocks, kita ada ownership kepada syarikat tersebut. Bergantung kepada berapa yang kita laburkan lah. Berapa stok yang kita belilah. It gives the holder a share in a company's profit via dividend payment. Okay, tengok. Tadi bonds dia bayar guna interest. Tetapi stocks dia bayar guna dividend or the capital appreciation of the security. From previous chapter, we know that dividend payments ni company bagi selepas dia dapat kira-kira untung dia, kan? Okay. Common stock of a firm can be privately owned by private investors or publicly owned by public investors. Common stock has lower priority in the event of liquidation than preferred shares. Okay, maksudnya adalah kita stocks ni dia ada dua jenis, common stock and preferred stock. So common stocks ni dia punya priority bawah sikit daripada preferred stock, ya. Okay, then okay, next we go to the basic of common stocks. What is it? The characteristics, yeah. Shares of ownership of a corporation. Ya, kalau kita tengok dalam gambar rajah ni, okay, carta pie dekat atas sebelah kiri tu hujung sekali, pecahan kepada shares dia lah. Ya. Kemudian kita ada allows for ownership of a portion of the company without taking possession. Maksudnya, kalau kata awak beli share company telekom sebagai contoh, ya. Okay, kita own a part of the telekom. Tapi berapa persen yang kita own tu bergantung kepada berapa banyak shares yang kita beli. Biasanya kita tak boleh hold lebih daripada certain percentage, ya. Kemudian, let stockholders vote on corporate issues such as the board of directors and accepting takeover bids. Stockholders are able to vote, dia ada voting right untuk membuat decision. Kemudian many corporations also give stockholders dividend payouts. Yang ini bergantung kepada shareholders lah. Kita yang beli shares dipanggil stockholders. Yang own the company kita panggil shareholders. Ya. Jadi shareholders yang akan decide sama ada dia nak bayar dividen ataupun tak. Okay, what are the rights of common stockholder? Dia boleh vote. Ya. Setiap satu share dia ada satu vote. Lagi banyak share yang dia ada, maksudnya dia boleh vote lagi banyak. Jadi, those yang kalau kita tengok cerita Chinese ataupun Korean kan, cerita pasal bisnes yang besar-besar ni, shares, ya. Mana-mana yang ada shares yang besar, dia boleh influence the decision of the corporation. Kemudian yang kedua adalah preemptive right, which is shareholders who owns 10% share outstanding have the right to purchase additional shares issued. Ya. Maksudnya dia ada right untuk beli additional share lah. Kalau company tu issue additional share, dia dululah ada keupayaan untuk tambah. Ya. Kemudian dividends. Payment of dividends is at the discretion of board of directors. This is the shareholders lah. Ya. Shareholders. Then, stockholders receive dividend payments only after all claims have been settled with the government, creditors and preferred stockholders. So, common stockholders dia akan dapat last sekali. Ya? Dia dah bayar hutang, dia dah bayar loan, bonds dia dengan government, things like that. Barulah common stockholders dapat. Differences between stocks and bonds or equity and debt. Okay, apakah perbezaan di antara stocks and bonds? Stock and bonds lah. Ataupun kita kata kat sini stock adalah equity, ya, dan bonds adalah debt. Apa beza antara equity dengan debt? Okay, stocks as represent of equity. So this is an equity instrument carrying ownership interest. But bonds is a debt instrument with a promise to pay back the money with interest. So that is the difference between stock and bonds. Kemudian perbezaan yang kedua adalah the return. Stocks dapat dividen, but bonds receive interest. Return guarantee, stocks tak ada guaranteed return. But bonds, yes. Every year dia akan dapat pulangan berupa interest tadi. Lepas tu additional benefits, voting rights in the company. Ya, stockholders ada voting rights. While bonds, preferential treatment when bond matures. So when bond matures, dia akan dibayar dahulu. Okey, kemudian kita pergi kepada advantages and disadvantages of stocks. Ya, advantages between bonds and stocks. Okay, advantages of bonds: in case of bankruptcy, bonds are still paid off. Maksudnya, kalau bankrupt pun, that entity kena bayar balik nilai bond tu tadi. Yeah, it's less risky compared to stocks. Corporate and government can create bonds. Alright? Tapi advantage of stocks pula, it has higher return. It can be bought and sold at any time and can be purchased easily online. Yeah? Kemudian kita tengok kepada disadvantages of bond and stocks. Alright, kalau bonds take years to maturity, of course lah, it's more than 10 years kan? Lower rate of return compared to stocks, and government bonds are harder to come by. It's not usually happen. Governments offer bonds. Yeah. Disadvantages of stocks: they are more risky than bonds. Potential of losses is high. Only used by corporation and not government. Yeah? Government doesn't issue stocks. Yeah. Okay. Yang terakhir sekali adalah preferred stock, which is an equity instrument. It pays fixed a dividend that expressed as a dollar amount or as a percentage of its par value. We know par value tadi nilai 1,000 ke, nilai 1,000. Jadi bagi percentage lah, berapa percentage nak untuk dividend preferred stock. Preferred stocks are riskier than bonds from the investor perspective because bond terms are legal obligation. Yeah, dia ada agreement. The investor cannot expect the firm to redeem preferred stock for a preset face value. It must be sold in the market at uncertain price. Yeah. So basically, future value dia adalah bergantung kepada berapa harga dia di pasaran. Ya, tak ada guarantee. Ya. So, we need to look at apa perbezaan di antara common stock and preferred stock. Ya, in terms of dividend. Ya, common stock is variable amount, but preferred is a fixed amount. Dia stated. Voting rights: common stock ada voting right, but preferred stock has no voting right. Payment privacy, dia last sekali dapat. Tapi preferred stock dia dibayar mula-mula sekali. On a risk pula, common stock adalah sangat tinggi, manakala preferred stock hanya moderate saja. On reward, common stock offer higher reward, but preferred stock offer moderate reward. So, this goes back to chapter 6, risk and return, where the risk is high, the return also high. So that is the 3 types of long-term financing. So for corporation, if they have different types of financing. Contoh, dia ada bond, dia ada preferred stock, dia ada common stock, dia ada other kind of financing. Macam mana dia nak pastikan berapa kos modal dia? Yeah? So kita kira berdasarkan cost of capital. Yeah? Ia represent the firm's cost of financing. It is the minimum rate of return that a project must earn to increase the firm's value. Maksudnya, kalau dia ada 3 jenis financing, dia kena kira berapa total cost. Okay, adakah return yang dia akan dapat dengan projek tersebut lebih tinggi daripada total cost tadi. So when investors provide their funds to a firm, they expect to receive a return. The returns that investors require is the cost of capital the firm must pay to investors. Investment that produce returns above cost of capital will have positive NPVs. Yeah? So kalau return tu lebih besar daripada cost, so dia akan ada positive NPV. So cara nak mengira cost of capital adalah menggunakan weighted average cost of capital. It is the expected average cost of the different forms of capital. Maksud capital ni tadi financing lah. Financing. So, contohlah, dia ada issue bonds, ada preferred stock and ada common stock. Dan ia consist of berapa persen. Jadi, daripada sini, dia akan kira lah average dia berapa. Itu maksudnya kat sini awak hanya perlu tahu cara nak kira cost of capital adalah menerusi weighted average cost of capital. So, itu saja dalam chapter 9.